Welcome to my channel. My name is Gold Magikarp. If you like my videos or enjoy Destiny guides, I would much appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe button. In this video, I will be going through how to build an armor set and how to optimize the potential to help you get through the endgame content. Every piece of armor comes with random stats, which affect your Guardian's speed, defense, as well as their cooldown. Armor in Destiny 2 is broken down into 6 key stats. These stats are as follow: mobility, which increases your strafing speed and your class ability cooldown if you're a hunter. Resilience, which increases the amount of damage you take before you die, as well as your class ability if you're a titan. Recovery, which increases the speed at which you regain lost health, and your class ability if you're a warlock. Discipline, which decreases the cooldown time of your grenades. Intellect, which decreases the cooldown of your super ability. And strength, which decreases the cooldown of your melee ability. So what makes a piece of armor high stat? While some people think it's armor with a plus 20 to a stat, I believe it's armor that can drop anywhere from 58 to 69 total stat. It's important to note a lot of preference comes into play when deeming what is a god roll piece of armor. Personally, I hang on to anything over 61 total stats and wait till I have all 5 pieces before investing prisms and shards into it. Each piece of armor in Destiny 2 comes with a distribute of stat points which are at random, so it comes down to sheer luck and determination to get what you're looking for. The most consistent ways to finding high stat armor is through Iron Banner, raids, prophecy, trials, and the season pass. As of this season, Master Empire hunts are a pretty good way of high stat gear as well. Some things you may want to consider when it comes to stats is each tier only comes into effect at the 10th stat. So if you had 64 in recovery, you would have 4 stats wasted. Also, any points over 100 are wasted stats as well. The most effective resilience tier starts between 5 and 7. For recovery, it's 7 and 10, and intellect gains the most benefit from the first 3 levels. Intellect only affects the super's base cooldown, which is the part that goes up when you're standing around. Orbs of light and kills do not count. For PvP, tier 5 in resilience seems to be the magic number. You can survive a sniper and hand cannon body shot. A thorn can't 2-tap you, and it also leaves you with a good amount of shield when frozen. Going for tier 10 in your class respective stat is also a good idea, as it double dips into the class ability cooldown and the stat itself. So you have a bunch of high stat armor. What do you do now? First, you want to figure out which stats you want to maximize and equip gear that specializes in those stats. Intellect is great for PvP, mobility, discipline and recovery are great in all modes, strength if you're focusing on a melee build, and resilience is only really considered on a titan, especially if you're using an exotic based on the class ability. It's a personal preference based on what build you're going for and what armor you want. For the example I will be using, I will be targeting recovery because I'm a warlock, and strength because necrotic grips is a melee based exotic, and I will be trying to get a tier 10 in both. Now sometimes you might find yourself stuck with something like this. Note, Masterwork in the exotic would give plus 2 to all stats. So the stats will end with 2 7s, an 8, a 5, a 1 and a 3. Now you could throw a minus stat mod on for each stat, but strength and intellect and call it a day. But then if you add up what's left, you'll still have a total of 11 stats wasted. Not to forget, using minus stat mods have 5 less stat, which can start to add up. Furthermore, the narcotic grips are only a 59 total stat, which is on the low end. After many runs in the Master Lost sector, I finally found a great roll, and when putting it on, I had a total stat of this. Now normally I wouldn't advise chasing the exotic as the piece to swap out, but the seasonal armor had higher recovery and strength, and the narcotic grips were bad. The more stats you have ending in 5s and 0s, the better the set tends to be. But ideally, you usually only want to have 2 stats ending in 5 or 6. The reason why you want to target for 2 stats ending in 5s and the rest in 0s is because of other mods. Personally, I like to run double ammo finder, double reserves and double scavenger, and most of the hot guns cost 3 energy each, so 6 in total. If you take the 3 energy stat mod into conclusion, that would only leave you with 1 point to spend in the combat style slot. Many of the high-end loadouts either use shield break charge or global reach, which costs 1. So 2 of your pieces would either have to miss out on a mod, or by using a minus stat mod, you have 3 energy left over for the combat slot. The best way to optimize your armor is to reduce the amount of stats you waste. If you have each piece with a total over 65, it can get you to tier 26 alone before you even masterwork and add mods. Note, stasis can also give you 2 tiers as well. To achieve the best possible tier, not only do you have to be lucky, but you have to understand how to maximize your stats. So now you have your dream stats, or close to. What you want to make sure next is if your affinities are what you want. The elemental affinities allow certain mods to be applied to certain armor slots. The affinities you want are based on what type of loadout you are looking for. For example, you might notice arc armor mods are melee based, solar armor mods are based on grenades, and void based on class ability. But things can change when considering combat style mods. The only way you can really mess up affinities is by overlooking what affinities you need for certain mods. For this example, I know I'm going to be running a Charger Light build, so I'm going to need a minimum of 2 arc affinities for Radiant Light and Powerful Friends. The other 3 mods I'll be running is Shield Break Charge, Taken Charge, and High Energy Fire, which are not affinity locked. So I will be making all my armor pieces arc, as this is a melee based build. With all this in mind, make sure not to let your brain go on autopilot and accidentally delete any armor pieces that could be highly useful. If you decide to masterwork your armor, make sure not to jump the gun before you plan it out. There is nothing worse than fully masterworking your armor to then find out your affinities or stats are all wrong. This is Gold Magikarp signing out. Blip blip blip.